All right, welcome to the Chi-Town Fantasy Basketball Podcast. That was the worst introduction ever.
I thought we were going to go for a little bit thrilling, but okay.
Yeah, sounds like we're going to a funeral.
We'll do some more research on that for future podcasts. If somebody has a suggestion for a free song we can use, that'd be great. But yeah, we're live. This is the Chi-Town Fantasy Basketball Podcast. As always, you can find our podcast on YouTube and on archive.org. We'll post the links on our Facebooks when they conclude. You can find me on Twitter at SmokeyQ Rivers. Nate, where can people find you on Twitter?
At Drumming Soul.
And Danny and Tommy, they're not on the Twitters, but where can they find you guys? Or do you not want to be found?
I don't exist.
That's how I like it.
All right, fair enough. So once again, we're going to talk about some players that are hot, some players that are cold, and we'll talk about the Bulls. There's been a lot going on with that. Jimmy Butler had some interesting comments after their loss in New York on Saturday, and there was an injury to Joakim Noah, the severity of which is not yet known. So we'll talk about the implications of that for the Bulls and for a young gun named Bobby Portis. But we'll start it off with Tommy. Tommy, who's a player you've been eyeballing and it's hot lately?
I mean, are we talking about waiver wire or just overall?
No, overall.
My pick will be Paul George. I mean, I didn't think he was gonna be this good coming back from such a brutal and unbearable injury. I mean, I saw some signs of him last year. Everybody was talking about he's practicing, he's doing well. But, you hear those stories all the time, but you don't really expect him to be really this solidified his first time back around. But he is playing phenomenal basketball, and he's destroying people. And he is just abusing people at will. I mean, he's, I think, number 8 on player rater. I think Xavier drafted him maybe 11, 12, I'm not really sure. But he
10 right now, but yeah, he's
okay. But
definitely getting your money's worth.
Yeah, he's I mean, he's doing better than his draft position, unlike some people, hence number 1 pick. But he's been playing phenomenal basketball, and Indiana Pacers are actually winning. So I mean, he's gonna be my pick, and I think he's been. I'll go as far as saying he might be a runner-up for the MVP candidate if he can keep us up. So.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I felt the same way that I didn't especially want to draft Paul George for my own team because I was worried about the injury. But you would hardly even know he was injured the way he's playing. He did have kind of a stinker tonight. He was one of.
Yeah, I faced him tonight. I was happy about that.
His shot wasn't falling, but he found other ways to contribute. That's when you know you have an elite fantasy player. He still had 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and he did knock down a 3-pointer. And he was 4 or 5 at the line, so not a total loss. But yeah, he's definitely been killing it. So Paul George, he's worked his way into the top 10, clearly. And you, Tommy, you just made reference to the number 1 overall player, and someone on this podcast before, something controversial. Let's say you owned that player. His name is Anthony Davis, and somebody offered you Paul George. So how quickly do you hang up the phone, or do you at least listen?
Hang up right away.
I might spend a second or 2 thinking about it.
Let's make it a little more even. Obviously, you're probably not doing Paul George for Anthony Davis straight up. Let's say Paul George and somebody like Chris Middleton,
who's been playing pretty decently
for Anthony Davis.
I don't know.
Or not
Middleton is still waiver wireable. I don't know. I mean, I feel like
he's been playing pretty well, right?
Oh, I guess you gotta check it out.
Middleton's 40. He's ranked 45th right now. He's like
That's
15 points, 2 threes a game. The steals are down a little bit, but the percentages are. I wish I could see. What is his percentages? He is shooting. Oh yeah, his field goal has not been great. He's shooting basically 40% on the button, but he's shooting 89% from the line. So you take what you get. Anyway, I wouldn't call that waiver wireable.
No,
Okay.
no. That's respectable. I mean, I would definitely give it a consideration. And then again, it will come down to the fact that it really requires what do you really need. But I mean, honestly, Anthony Davis, the whole reason that you would want to get that guy for the Cats that he dominates, he just hasn't been dominated. And if he's supposed to be your cornerstone in those Cats and supposed to hold you down, he really hasn't been doing that. So it's really early in the season for you to kind of just quit on him. I mean, obviously, by no means he's really hurting you, and you're like, oh my God, I might have to drop this guy. But no. But at the same time, if you're thinking about long term, hell, I want to be in the playoffs. I need somebody that produces numbers and makes, especially in our league, it's a head-to-head. So it's all about winning Cats, right? I mean, you're not talking about, I need this guy to perform across the board. No. If you got Paul George and Chris Middleton, that's going to probably add on, a little bit to a lot of things. Let's be real. Paul George is not a chump. So he's right up there with his averages, threes, assists, rebounds, steals, points and everything. So honestly, I might really consider taking that deal. I'll probably take Chris Middleton and Paul George for sure.
You might consider.
I think you're crazy.
Sounds like Danny disagrees. What do you have to say about it?
Because let's think about it. We've been saying that Anthony Davis has not been living up to his potential, and he's 8 in player rater. I mean, what happens when this guy gets into mid-season form and starts dominating? I mean, if he's already 8 in player rater, I can almost guarantee he's going to finish in the top 3. This guy is a stud. I mean, the only risk is injuries, but at the end of the day, his upside is just extremely high. I think people like Paul George, he's right now playing to his potential, and it's not going to get any better. Anthony Davis, this guy can still improve. So, I mean, I got to stick with Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I would probably, with that specific trade, I would probably stick with Anthony Davis, unless it was a really specific situation where I really needed a boost in threes, and I didn't care about blocks anymore. Supposing let's say I had drafted Anthony Davis and Rudy Gobert, and nobody else who's blocking shots, and then Gobert is hurt, and now I'm just losing blocks every week because Anthony Davis has no support. Then I might consider that, but that's a kind of a really specific situation. For the most part, yeah, I'm sticking with Anthony Davis. Tommy, who do you got that's underperforming, who's cold?
Oh, God. I mean, I hate to say that he is probably in the second-best team. Well, he is in the second-best team in all of NBA. The Spurs, LaMarcus Aldridge. I mean, I looked it up. Last year, I think he finished 15 in play rater. Currently, I think he's listed at 75. So that is a huge drop-off for a guy who went to a team that has a better system, better coaching pick, and he was supposed to be the big that was going to dominate. I mean, let's be real. Timmy D is 37 years old, and this guy is a young guy that's going to replace him for the future, and he's just really now putting up the numbers. And honestly, 15 to 75, short of an injury, that is a significant drop-off. You shouldn't really have that. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people had high expectations on him on draft night because you just think to yourself, well, you went from a crummy situation where people just jacked up shots to the Spurs, who was like a well-worn machine. And, Timmy D in that spot all these years, he had phenomenal statistics. I mean, he played well. He played efficiently. His field goal, points, rebounds, blocks, everything was there. And LA is almost similar type of player. By no means I'm comparing him to Timmy D. That's an insult. But, he's good in the paint. He shoots free throws well. He's a good passer, and he can defend. And those numbers are just not there this year, and it's kind of unfortunate.
I mean, I don't know if you can blame him, though. I mean...
Well, hold on a second, Nate. It looks like we can see you, but we can't hear you. Try saying something.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, your lips are moving, but nothing's coming out.
Dang. Sucky.
Every time he talks.
Yak.
Try again. No.
Better? No?
Yeah, I don't know what to deal with that.
Okay.
Check your mic. Make sure you're not muted.
Yeah.
This is compelling.
Did it work now?
If I ever saw some.
All right, somebody else go then.
Is he punting? He's punting. Nate, how about try hanging up and we'll call you right back. We'll add you back in. Danny, I know you're a Spurs fan. You follow them pretty closely. Would you attribute Aldridge's struggles from a statistical standpoint to just being in a new system and just growing pains, or would you say it's the nature of the Spurs system and this is probably what he's going to do given the way their system works?
I mean, I think it's mainly not even just the system, but it's the the talent there, the star power. I mean, in Portland, it was Lillard and LaMarcus Aldridge taking as many shots as they could, playing as many minutes as they could. So now the minutes are down. You have other people like Tony Parker, Kawhi Leonard, Duncan, Ginobili. They're all going to get their shots. So I expected LaMarcus Aldridge to dip a little, but then maybe his efficiency was going to go up since now defenses were going to be focused on other people. But the decrease, I think, has been even higher than I expected. I mean, I thought maybe he was going to slide from a second rounder to maybe like a fourth player, but for him to be in the second page in fantasy, ranked 60, I think I'm seeing right now 62 as of now. That's pretty low. I still think he's going to climb a little bit, but by no means. There's just too much talent there. They're blowing teams out. I mean, Pop is not one to play his players to the ground. I mean, right? Tim Duncan is. I mean, he's thankfully still putting up stats, but he's playing like.
Yeah.
His minutes are what, 23, 29, 18, 20, 20. This guy's not going to hit a 30-minute game all season, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't reach for LaMarcus Aldridge. I think he's kind of capped in San Antonio.
Yeah. So it sounds like we got Nate back. Nate, say something real quick, just to.
Hey.
All right, that's cool. So yeah, just to put things in context, last season LaMarcus Aldridge averaged 23 points, 10 rebounds, a block, shot 46% from the field and 84% from the line. This season, he's at only 16 points, 8.8 rebounds, 1.1 blocks, and the field goals percentage pretty much the same. The free throws are a little down. Now in the last 15 days, he's actually shooting 57% and got it up to 19 points. But everything else is pretty much the same. You know, he's not a big assist guy. Doesn't really get steals, and the blocks are actually down in the last 15 days, all the way down to 0.4. So, but mainly it's just those shots. If you look at last year, he was taking almost 20 shots a game. He was actually 19.9. This year, he's down to 13.7. What is that? That's like more than 5 shots, like 5.2 shots. That's a lot of, or 6.2. God, I can't do math. But that's a lot of, what are you going to do about that?
Is there any way to look up usage?
I mean, we could look up his usage rate, but I mean, that's pretty much what usage is just shots and turnovers. So, I mean, last year it was 19.9 shots and 1.7 turnovers. This year it's 13.7 shots and 1.4 turnovers. So, yeah, we could look at his usage rate to see what that is, like as a percentage, but it's clearly way down.
Right.
And he's down 6 minutes a game, like from last year. That's half a quarter right there. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's where some of those shots are going. Yeah.
Right.
So LaMarcus, we decided he's somewhere in that 60-75 range at the moment.
Popovich, man, he loves pissing off fantasy owners and fans alike. He just does not give the people what they want.
Not Kawhi.
Give the people what they want.
Okay, Kawhi is still entertaining. It's true. But,
so yeah, who's in that general area? Let's take a look. Marcus Aldridge, there he is at 62, and his teammate Tim Duncan at 60. Ryan Anderson is actually beating out LaMarcus Aldridge.
Oh my God!
As is Thaddeus Young, as is, and this is pretty surprising given the way his year started, Gorgie Deng.
My boy!
Gorgie Deng's all the way up to 51 after playing about 7 minutes in the first month. That's really something.
Yeah,
But anyway, yeah, LaMarcus Aldridge, stay away.
no, don't do it.
So, Nate, what about you? Who's hot and who's cold for you?
Oh man. Well, Daniel mentioned that I might be a little biased because his player happens to be on my team. But Tyreek Evans, I mean, I took a gamble on him just kind of based on that injury. When he got injured initially, I could have actually dropped him, but I held on to him because I had a feeling that the New Orleans Pelicans really needed someone to distribute the ball. And in his first 3 games out the gate, he did a lot more than that. He scored 20 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds in the first game, 10, 8, 6 in the second, 14, 10, 7. Along with a couple steals and a couple threes thrown in there. And so all of a sudden, he kind of came out the gate as a triple-double threat. Now, I think he's shown a lot of inconsistency, probably just based on the fact that he is eligible for so many positions, and over his career he's played so many positions, only recently being available for point guard as well. Now he's a SF, PG, and SG. And then the court, he kind of plays that way, too. It seems like he doesn't necessarily know where he wants to be, which is why some games he's more assist-heavy, some games he's more rebound heavy, but the more surprising thing that's emerged recently has been his three-point shot, which he was known as in his career being a terrible three-point shooter and basically avoided. But now he's jacking up a decent amount per game, and he's actually making them, which is pretty crazy. And on top of that, his efficiency has not plummeted as a result. He's really only been back for maybe a month. Not even a month yet, really. So there's a lot to see in terms of long-term potential. But I'm really excited for this guy, and I think he can be a fantastic asset to teams who are really just trying to get a hustle guy, and now they got a multi-cat gem.
Yeah, the stats for Tyreek have been really nice since he's come back. I'm looking at the averages rather than the cumulative player rater right now, since he missed so much time, he's lower on the cumulative one. But on averages, he's at 46, which is pretty good. 15.6 points, 5.8 rebounds, 6.4 assists, and 1.2 threes, which would definitely be a career high for him. That his previous career high was 0.9. And he's actually hitting them at 41% right now, after being a career 28% three-point shooter, which is not exactly very much better than Josh Smith shoots.
Jay Smooth!
Jay Smooth.
But yeah, and he's in an interesting situation. He is capable of playing multiple positions. The Pelicans do have Drew Holiday, who's gradually working his way up to starters minutes. So if they're going to share the court, he's going to spend a lot of time at small forward. And then they also have Eric Gordon, who likes to handle the ball, but is mainly the shooting guard. But Tyreek's capable of playing all the way one through 3. So, Danny, what do you think about Tyreek? Do you think this is the new Tyreek, the big assists, the big rebounds, and the decent threes, or do you think there's a regression coming?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, the things like the three-point shooting that he was not known for, he was generally pretty high in turnovers, and those are kind of 2 things that I'm seeing early on, like his turnovers. He's only averaging 2.8 per point guard. That's pretty good. And he's averaging close to 6.4 assists. So it's hard to know. I honestly don't know if he can turn the corner. He's going to be getting a lot of run because of their backcourt kind of depleted. I know field goal's always been an issue, but I mean, for the time being, it's hard to argue against his numbers. I don't know if they're sustainable, but putting up pretty good numbers so far.
Yeah, I feel like probably the 3-pointers are going to come down a little. It's certainly possible and perhaps even likely that he's improved his 3-point shot. I'm hesitant to think that he's turned himself from a 30% shooter into a 41% shooter overnight. Maybe he's turned himself from 30 into 35, maybe even 36.
Yeah, he ain't no Jimmy Butler. Up on that 10%, baby.
Oh, we'll be talking about him shortly, but so who's cold for you, Nate?
I mean, Jeff
Certainly not a
Teague.
player on your own team.
Yeah, no, of course not. No, I just trash other people's teams. That's how you do it. Yeah, Jeff Teague of the Atlanta Hawks. I think he was really known as Mr. Consistency, and that was kind of the idea is that like there are certain players you could just rely on, like Marc Gasol, for example, one of those players who just kind of sometimes doesn't give you the flashy numbers, but gives you that baseline that you can always build up on. Like, so if you had a fantasy team with one of those players, you could kind of add the streaky players or the guys with young upside because you have that guy who's still going to give you those core stats. And the one thing I've noticed about Teague stats is they've kind of been all over the place. Instead of being consistent, his field goal has been all over. His threes have not been consistent. Rebound it hasn't been known for, but his assists too. He's still averaging 5.7 assists on the season, which is still pretty solid. But it's not like getting 6 assists every game. Sometimes he has 2. Sometimes he has 10. And his steals have also been sporadic. On top of the fact that his scoring goes anywhere from 20 to 4 in the last 4 weeks. So I'm not sure what's going on. As Smokey mentioned before, field goal is one of those things that eventually is going to average out. But he's not finding his shot, and it doesn't seem like he's finding his rhythm on the same team he's been playing on with for a while. So I'm not really sure what the extra factor is that's making him not get up there in potential. What is he looking at like a player rater right now?
He's currently at 77 on the player rater. He was generally drafted in the 25 to 40 range in a lot of drafts in my experience. So certainly underperforming. And I feel like the Hawks are an interesting team. They were kind of not a perfect team last year, but like kind of like just a really well put together team. You had point guard Jeff Teague doing the work, dishing out the assists. You had Paul Millsap, just the Swiss Army knife, doing a little bit of everything. The big guy Al Horford, the 3-point shooter Korver, the 3-and-D guy and Carroll, and a decent bench. So they took away Carroll, and I was kind of worried about what was that going to do to that team, because they had a lot of nice players, but they took away a key piece of it, and I don't know. I thought maybe it was going to throw everything out of whack. Paul Millsap's numbers are actually way up. He was already pretty damn good, and his numbers are even better. Horford's pretty much the same, except he decided he's going to become a lights-out 3-point shooter too. Mm-hmm. So they both don't really miss Damari Carroll. I mean, maybe as a person they miss him, but
he's probably a nice guy. I mean.
But their stats are better. And on the other hand, and then you have Kent Bazemore, who's kind of emerged, kind of a not an exact replica of Carroll, but pretty similar. I mean, he can hit threes. He's become a solid defender. He's getting that's showing up in the fantasy numbers with some steals. So, but Jeff Teague, I don't know what to make of that. The other factor that might be affecting him is Dennis Schroeder knocking on his door. Does anybody think anything of Dennis Schroeder? Tell me, you look like a Dennis Schroeder fan. You're pointing at yourself.
I was gonna scream Schroeder. This guy is a pretty good player. I liked him last year. Unfortunately, he comes off the bench. They had a system. They didn't want to disrupt that. I don't think Jeff Teague is gonna have a fallout. I don't think that era is over yet. But if that does ever happen, you better believe that this guy is gonna be like a top tier guard. I mean, I'm not gonna say top tier, but he's gonna be like Darren Collison before Rondo took over his throne. He's going to be a very consistent, maybe like 15-8 kind of guy. And the guy has skills to do it. He's very quick. He's got good IQ. He played overseas. I believe he's from Germany, I believe. Yep. But the guy's got he's got very good point guard vision. He's got very good point guard skills. He's got low turnovers. I think he protects the ball pretty well. And he's not the best of the shooter, but I mean those are things that can improve. But if Jeff Teague's time is up, or if he's got reduced minute, you'll see Dennis Schroeder doing a little bit more for the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, I like him. He's very quick. He's very agile. He can defend. He plays hard. So watch out for him. I'm keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, Dennis Schroeder's definitely someone to keep an eye on. In his last 5 games, he's been in double digits 4 out of those 5 games. He's averaging 5 assists per game. He has 11 steals in those 5 games, so more than 2 steals per game in the last 5. And he hit 9 threes in that amount of time, so pretty much almost 2 threes a game in that stretch. So
And
he's
he's
really
only owned in
out.
33% of leagues.
If what's that?
He's only owned in 33% of leagues.
Only
That
on
hot pickup.
I mean, yeah, he is hot. He's at a plus 11% in ownership the last few days, so definitely someone you want to look at. It bears mentioning that before those last 5 games, he had a 8-game stretch where he only got to double digits in scoring once.
Mm.
But yeah, definitely someone to keep an eye on. Definitely someone who can produce if given enough minutes. Tommy, you're still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
No,
Okay.
we can hear you. We were worried about you, but you look like you're going strong. All right, so Danny, who's hot and who's cold for you?
So hot for me, I said John Wall. This guy has been on an absolute tear. I mean, this. I was looking at his last 30-day stats, and they've been just. I mean, all season long. Because one of the best, great point guard, but you need your point guard to at least be able to help out in the 3-point category. You can't have a point guard. And what I see right now is 1.6 3-pointers in the last 30 days. Even if you go for the entire season, he's up to 1.5 threes, which is already pretty good for a point guard. A point guard that's going to give you 9 assists, averaging 20 points. His field goal was also normally pretty bad. It's not great, but I mean, it's still at 45% right now.
I would take that. Yeah, I'll take 45% from
2.1 steals.
If he's gonna, yeah.
Yeah, 2.1 steals and almost a block, 0.7. These are phenomenal numbers. If you like, I think I'm looking at last PR 15 or PR 30, and he's like top 5. It's just absolutely crazy. I don't know if this has to do with Bradley Beal now. Kind of, he's getting more of the role, but regardless, this new up-tempo offense that the Wizards were trying this year, kind of trying to pick up the pace a little bit, considering how bad they were last year, it's definitely helping John Wall out. I always was a big fan. I think he has a lot of potential, so I actually know this is sustainable.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm becoming a pretty big John Wall fan as time goes by. I mean, he's just so fast. I mean, he could, if you're the fastest person on the court, 99% of the time you can make stuff happen. That's pretty much all there is to it. And
I mean, I was just gonna read and talk about consistency too. I was just gonna read this line. It was that he was 28 and 10, 26 and 7, 26 12, 26 12, 26 16. And so this guy, he's scoring the same amount and getting almost the same amount of dimes every game. So that's reliability.
Yeah, so tonight was kind of an odd game. He didn't shoot the ball well, went 4-15 and only scored 12 points, but he had 19 assists and 4 steals. So he's just obliterating those categories. So you'll take an off shooting night every once in a while if you have somebody who can just obliterate some other categories for you.
Looks like a Rondo line too, actually.
A little bit with the he made all of his free throws, so not quite. But yeah, who's cold for you, Danny?
Cold. The guy from my team, which I am. His last game was pretty good, so I'm hoping he's just breaking out of it. But it's Nurk. The guy this season has just absolutely struggled. For a big guy, his percentages. I know his free throws were going to be an issue at 55%, But for a center to be shooting 44% field goal, it's bad. His turnovers are at 2.7, which are pretty high for a big man. He's averaging only 10 points a game, 7.9 rebounds. It's just, for somebody that was on ESPN standards ranked to go somewhere in the 20s or 30s in the draft, he's just not delivering that kind of value. I mean, he's a young player. He tends to be pretty active, and it's the defensive stats that gets him a lot of value. This blocks, which he's at 1.3 steals and 1 blocks for the season. It's pretty solid, but if you cannot score the ball and you're hurting both field goal and free throw percentage, it's pretty hard to see him too much. I mean, I'm kind of hoping he's going to turn it around. Because I know late last season he was just an absolute monster. Getting steals and blocks, just was able to win you weeks. But this year, the offensive end, I don't know if he's just too limited offensively, that he's just not going to be able to contribute at all offensively on that end. And it's hard to justify drafting somebody so early when he can only contribute on the defensive end. And I'm going to keep holding on to him and hope he turns it around.
Yeah, the offensive struggles are pretty much the crux of the issue. I would wonder how much of that can be attributed to the Sixers just having an absolute revolving door of clown shoes at the point guard position to start the year, and whether
graphic image.
If perhaps Kendall Marshall can emerge and provide solidify that position. They just hired Mike D'Antoni, he's coached Kendall Marshall before, and he was pretty productive in his brief stint with the Lakers. So you'd like to think that Kendall Marshall can get Noel some better looks and get that field goal up to like 46, 47. But
Man, I'm hoping over 50%.
Baby steps.
I think the bigger thing there is that he was known as being this big defensive guy coming in, and so 1.3 steals and 1 block is good, but that's not why you're using an early draft pick on him. You want him to get multiple steals and multiple blocks per game.
Yeah.
I mean, you want him just to own that category for you and not be okay. Yeah.
True. The 1 block is underwhelming. It's definitely, I mean, for a big 1.3 steals will get the job done, but 1 block, you don't draft somebody in the 20th pick that has no offensive skills for just 1 block a game. So either start blocking shots or start making baskets, or preferably both.
Well said.
That's about the size of it. Okay, so that leaves me. I have a hot and a cold player as well. My hot player is going to be somebody that our friend Tommy owns in our league, and that is Kemba Walker. I see you smiling, Tommy. Yeah. Let me just put up this little graphic real quick, just so I can have something to back up my wild.
Those are graphics, baby.
Oh yeah, we got graphics. We're fancy out here. Oh my God, it doesn't want to let me get the graphic.
Wearing a ski hat still shows graphics.
On a side note, have anybody
All right,
seen
everybody
Steven
can see
Adams?
that.
Oh,
Wow, is that a chart?
All right, let me
Wow.
explain what's going on here. On the right side of the screen, or is it the right? It might be flipped because Google Hangouts is like a mirror.
You went up from 31%
I
to
think it's-
39? What the fuck?
So yeah, on the
This
right
is kind
side.
of embarrassing.
Okay, hold on, class. Don't interrupt the teacher while he's talking. On the right side, you have his last season numbers, 2014, 2015, and on the left side, you have this season's numbers. So, as you can see, mostly in all areas, from above the break, three-point line, from the corners, from at the rim, in the mid-range, pretty much his percentages are up across the board. So, that's a nice place to start. But, that could just be fluky. He might just be running hot. But the other thing I look at here, take a look at his last season the place where he took most of his shots, he had 293 shots from the deeper mid range. That's that cluster that says 113 of 293. This season, he's taken 112 shots at the rim and 110 from the mid range. So a higher percentage of his shots are coming at the rim. If you compare to last year, he had 267 versus 293. So a lot more of his, not a lot more, but a higher percentage of his shots were coming in the mid range. This year, it's a little more equal between the mid range and the rim, so that's nice. And he's also shooting a lot better from threes. So this was the whole thing with Kemba Walker. He does a lot of things really nice, but he shot under 40% last year, so he's kind of ruining that category for you. This year, he's shooting, I guess according to this, when I took this screenshot, he was shooting about 44.5%, which is, not great, but pretty decent considering all the other things he does. And looking at this, I'm thinking that this improvement in field goal percentage is real. I could be wrong, but what do you guys think? Especially Tommy, who owns him. You've probably been following him the closest.
I mean, honestly, his field goal has gotten better, but is it really going to benefit me? No. I mean, it's still pretty bad. But the thing is, he's playing better and he's attacking a lot more. I mean, I still see it in this game. I do watch Charlotte games a lot, a little too much maybe. He still has a tendency to want to jack. I mean, he takes some bad shots. He'll play really, really smart, then he just come around and dribble and just jack it up. But I mean, the good thing is he's playing better. They're running the ball better.
Tommy
No.
Is he frozen?
I wanted to hear what he was about to say.
And
oh, there you go.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
yeah, you were frozen
Okay.
for about 5 seconds. But you were saying he has a tendency to jack, but
Is that where we left off?
Oh yeah.
pretty
Okay,
much.
well, he has a tendency to jack a lot of shots, but the good thing is he's playing smarter and better, and he's taking less shots, it seems like, and they're moving the ball better. I mean, it's not just always through his hands. You have Jeremy Lin almost playing two drop-off spots, Nicholas Batum playing really well, almost on the point forward, whatever you want to call him. But, I mean, yeah, overall he's better. I mean, he's putting stats across the board, and the good thing is his health. So far, he hasn't had any injuries, and he's kind of had health issues all these years, and it looks like he's in great shape. He's able to defend. He's got some steals, assists. He's shooting the free throw really well. Field goal has improved, and he's scoring a little bit more. So, yeah, he's been a well-rounded player so far for me, and I have no complaints.
Yeah, and I think that might have a lot to do with the addition of Nick Batum in particular, but also to a lesser extent Jeremy Lin. It's taking the pressure off of him a little bit distribution-wise, because last year, I mean, Nick Batum's spot was basically occupied by Gerald Henderson and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, who are nice players in their own ways, but don't really help you move the ball around the court. And then who was the backup point guard? Probably Gary Neal, I think.
I think so.
So not super exciting. So yeah, I would attribute some of his improvement efficiency-wise to that.
I mean,
And
they're
we could
playing a
also
better
say-
brand of basketball, too, so that winning always helps, right? So
Yeah, and then
I think we got to coin Smokey's favorite term. He's just taking it to the rack, man. Right? It's all about taking it to the rack, upper percentage.
Just a little bit more, but sometimes that's all you need is a little rackage. So my co-player is Zach Randolph.
Zubo!
Where is he?
This is not so much. I mean, I can bring up his stats, but this is kind of a qualitative issue. He's lost his starting job in Memphis, and it might be the end of an era for him. It might be the end of an era for a style of basketball. Really, Zach Randolph's one of the few remaining guys who pretty much all he does is get down in the post and score, and then get you some rebounds. I get Jahlil Okafor is kind of that player. Julius Randle might turn into that kind of player. So there are some young guys who are in a similar mode of just points and rebounds and not a whole lot else. But
0 blocks.
Yeah, so Jalil at least blocked some shots, but that's neither here nor there. It looks like Memphis is starting to move away from him, and they've replaced Zebo in the starting lineup with Matt Barnes, who is having a sneaky good year already. And well, I suppose it's open to interpretation whether he'll continue, but in the last 30 days, Matt Barnes is at 11 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.2 steals, zero point 0.8 blocks, and 1.7 threes. And pretty much average percentages, 45% from the field, 75% from line. He's not dominating any category, but he's giving you an above average contribution in pretty much all categories. So that's kind of nice. Zach Randolph in the last 30 days, averaging 11 points and 8 rebounds. So he's still helping you with the rebounds, but he just does nothing. 1.4 assists, 0.3 steals, 0 blocks. He has not blocked a shot in the last 30 calendar days, and that's somebody who's I know he can't get off the ground, but he's still like 6'10". You'd think he'd run into one once in a while. His field goal percentage is down, which is pretty, you can't shoot 44% if you're not hitting any threes. His free throw percentage is at 67%. He's had a nice career, but could this be the end for Zebo?
I think so.
You think so?
I mean, it's a significant drop-off, right? I mean, what was he last year?
Last season, he was still getting you 16 points and 10.5 rebounds and shooting 48.7% from the field. He still wasn't really helping you anywhere else, but you can work with 16 and 10 and 48%.
Yeah, I mean, this is the age of the stretch four. It's of players who are just rising up, especially these young rookies who are able to get rebounds, get you some threes, and then chip in a couple extra stats like steals and blocks. I mean, I think the entire class of power forward has become extremely well-rounded. You can't afford to have a guy on your team who's going to have big man stats without the blocks and not get you field goal. I mean, if you're going to have a big guy like that, he needs to be pristine in terms of field goal, maybe have a good free throw, and get you a hell of a lot of rebounds. Not like these numbers. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you think he's droppable?
Yeah, I do think in a 10-team league, I definitely think he's droppable. He's basically helping you in one category, which is rebounds, and I'm pretty sure Tristan Thompson is averaging more rebounds right now. So if you wanted honestly, if you wanted somebody to just help you in one category, Tristan Thompson's averaging 9.8 rebounds. That's more than Zach Randolph. His other numbers are worse, except the field goal is better, but it's not like Zach Randolph's 0.8 steals are going to win you your week. So, excuse me, 0.5 steals.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I was giving him way too much credit there. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's our fantasy portion of the podcast. Now let's talk about the Bulls. That's, of course, why we call it the Chi-Town podcast. Actually, it's not really. But we're definitely going to talk about the Bulls. So, obviously, the Bulls had that crazy 4-overtime game on Friday. They were tired as heck, and they had to play the Knicks the next day. Predictably, it didn't go very well, and then Jimmy Butler had kind of an interesting to say after that game. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick just so I can read that for context. The quote was, where is it? The quote goes as follows. I believe in the guys in this locker room, but I also believe we probably have to be coached a lot harder at times. I'm sorry, I know Fred is a laid-back guy, and I really respect him for that, but when guys aren't doing what they're supposed to do, you have to get on guys, myself included. So, what do you guys think about this? Is Jimmy out of line calling out the coach, or is he on point? Danny, what do you think?
See, I don't know. I'm having a hard time trying to figure out these young players. Because last year, we had Tibbs, who was kind of a tough coach, and then the players got tired of that. Now you get a laid-back coach. and you think the players are going to enjoy it. But after a while, now they're getting fed up with it. I mean, I think the Bulls have a great roster. I think the Bulls have to stop making excuses, Jimmy Butler included. Guess what? Fred Hoiberg is not on the court. You are. And in that game, I mean, you could have done something. I mean, you're supposed to be one of the stars in this league. You take over. If you really are as good as people say, you take over and you stop making excuses about the coach. I mean, it's fine. I think it's fine when you call out other players that are also on the court, but I don't know. When you start blaming it on the coach and of that, I mean, I think you have to go out there and compete. And I'm not buying it. I mean, with this, you have had two different style of coaches. How are you going to say, now you want a different coach or you don't like it? Like, I don't buy it. I think he has to stop complaining and play hard.
And if I remember correctly, wasn't Jimmy Butler rumored to be one of the players who was most clashing with Tibbs towards the end of the year last year, or do I have that backwards?
No, I think he was always in support of Tibbs.
Oh, okay. Maybe I would. There were players who were somebody, I don't remember who, but definitely somebody was rumored to.
Derek. It was Derek.
Okay, I think I had it the other way around, which makes sense because maybe Derek's still salty about being in the fourth quarter of that first game of the Philadelphia series before his life changed forever. I will say this about what Jimmy had to say about Fred Hoiberg. I'm not really a fan of calling out your head coach to the media, but as far as like things that he could say about the coach, this is relatively tame. It's not like he's demanding more minutes. Not that a player in Butler's position could demand more minutes. Obviously, he plays, practically
played almost an hour
a game. But it's not like he's dissatisfied with his role. It's not like he's complaining about the system. It's not like I would have more of an issue if he was complaining about like a substantive basketball issue. If he's just complaining about, he has to coach harder, I mean, fine. Whatever.
I mean, because what is that going to do? You want the coach to yell at you more so you could try harder? Guess what? You're with the players. Why don't you, yell at Derrick Rose and tell him to play defense?
I mean, I'll give him that. Maybe he likes to be punished, Maybe he likes the pain. Probably he got used to it from Tom Thibodeau.
Good job.
It's better than if he was saying, he's pushing us too hard. I need a day off to watch House of Cards or catch up on Homeland or whatever.
I just want to interrupt and say the Clippers managed to lose again after having a 14-point lead in the fourth.
What?
Classic. That's classic.
Here's my take on the whole Jimmy Butler situation. I don't blame him. I think, like you said, I think the comments were very tamed. I mean, he wasn't really pointing fingers or saying this guy's a bad coach. He's just saying, we need to be pushed a little bit more. It's how I saw the comments at. You just need to be coached hard. And you got to understand, I'm a sole believer that Jimmy is as hard of a player he is because of Thibs, and I think he's got a lot of respect for Thibs and that system and how well they were doing at the time. And so I think he just kind of wants to see that kind of a consistency. Just wants to see that kind of an effort. And Hoiberg seems like a skippy-dooby-doo guy. He just feels like, it's okay, you missed a shot. It's okay, we'll get the next one. They'd be like, you fucking kidding me? You missed that? How'd you miss it? It's a different environment. It's a different culture. I think there's a transition for them. And clearly, it's a little sloppy. Let's be real. The Bulls' rotations, my goodness, I don't understand. They're just plugging and removing players at night after night. I don't even know if it's really matchups, or you're trying to figure out, is this guy going to be hot today? I think he's going to be hot. Let me just start him. There's no set rotation. I don't think they're in sync. I mean, I'm not doubting Hoiberg. I'm not one of those guys that said, oh my God, here we have a college coach that comes in. This is going to be a winning season. We're going to go to the finals and win this. I never thought that. I don't think this season's going to be a success. I mean, they might get bounced in the first round, whatever. But I mean, you have to wait and see how they do it. Maybe by at an All-Star break, you got to give it half a season, see how they are. Maybe wait till the year's out. Maybe they will get better. Maybe they won't. I mean, I think it's just chemistry and trying to figure out what works and what's not. But I don't think he was out of line. So.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, the rotation is still shaking out, and given the events of today's game, perhaps it's going to continue to shake a little bit. Joakim Noah was injured. It looks like he has a dislocated shoulder, something like that.
MRI has not been done yet, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not confirmed yet. We don't know the extent of the injury or whether it'll be out, but I didn't get to watch the game. I just saw like a brief GIF of the injury. It didn't look great, but assuming he is out for a while, it might mean we see a little more Bobby Portis. Assuming he's out, do you guys think we start seeing more minutes for Bobby Portis, maybe in the 15 to 20 range? And assuming we see those 15 to 20 minutes from Bobby Portis, what do you expect him to do with those?
I think Nate should take this because he already picked them up from our waiver wire. He's
I'm just
what's going to happen.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say you don't need to add Bobby Portis in a 10-team head-to-head league, but maybe Nate can persuade me otherwise.
Yeah, I think I love Joakim Noah, and I'm a hardcore Bulls fan, but he got injured at a very terrible time because Bobby Portis blew up when the Bulls were getting blown out, actually, and had a great game. I think it was like 2010, and then a couple other awesome stats. On top of that, he can shoot a three, which is crazy for how much he's hustling in the paint. And he showed that off, and then right after that game, Hoiberg said, we're going to get this guy more minutes. We're going to find ways to hit him in the rotation, which at first to me was like, well, hell, the rotation's already screwed up. You're going to toss even more little dice in there, try to gamble who's going to do well. Except then, the very next game, Joakim Noah goes down. And so now Hoiberg has publicly said Portis is getting more minutes, and now all of a sudden a center spot open. So I think Portis is going to be used. I think he might get only maybe 20 minutes a game at first. But his per minute numbers, he could do some damage. He showed today, especially once Noah went down, that he's a little shot happy and he's a little excited to get minutes. So he's got to slow down and have some better shot selection. But that hustle is there, and I think he could give you some very big wow stats. I'd say useful enough for a flyer, but don't take up an active roster spot. Add him to the bench, see how he does over the next couple weeks, and then, move on if necessary.
Daniel, your rebuttal?
Honestly, there is no rebuttal. I mean, I think this Joakim Noah injury could be one of those things that is a blessing in disguise. I mean, you have this young guy that's pretty good. You have Noah on the other side of his career, already plagued with injuries, already had a good run, kind of starting to decline. Although he showed some promise recently, the overall trend is not good. I think it'd be good for Bobby Portis to get some minutes. It'll probably be good for Taj to get more minutes because, I mean, it seems like some of these players need a certain amount of time to get in sync. And when you have these players, like if Taj is playing like 15 minutes a game, like he's not really going to be able to get into a good rhythm. So, I mean, one of our polls in fantasy that you made, Smokey, was who do we get rid of? Who do we trade? And just in time, it's like, well, maybe it's not a trade, but maybe it's an injury. And now we kind of down one big and gives more opportunity to the other ones. So I think this could end up being a good thing for Taj and
Bob.
Free Bobby Portis.
So I will say I'll say he's still a rookie. I wouldn't expect. I do think he deserves to get some minutes. I just don't personally expect amazing things to happen immediately. He's still a rookie, and he was taken outside the lottery for a reason. Certainly, a lot of people said he should have been taken a lot higher than he was. He shouldn't have fallen to the Bulls. But nevertheless, I tend to express patience with rookies not named Kristaps Porzingis. But I will say this. When Jimmy Butler was a rookie, he only played 359 minutes that whole season. And then look how he turned out. Even and he was showing signs. He had good per 36 numbers that year. And then the very next year, I mean, the offense wasn't quite there, but he was instantly one of the top 15 or 10 defenders in the league in his second season. And I just think, the Bulls could have used some of that defensive value the year before. I mean, they had a good defense back in those days, certainly, but, he could already do things on the court. Why not let him go do those things? And so I hope the same thing doesn't happen to Bobby Portis. I hope he gets, 600, 800 minutes at least this season, not the 350 that Jimmy Butler got, at least. But, yeah, it's hard not to be excited. Everybody's excited for Bobby Portis. I hate to be the guy who's the least excited, but...
Well, you do hashtag cage Bobby Portis? Was that your plan?
I don't want to cage it. Like I said, I want him to get 10 to 15 minutes a game. Like, there's no reason he should go games on end without seeing the floor at all, which has been the case so far.
And, I'm a huge fan of Bobby Portis. I called it on draft night that it was a great pick, and they're really good. And I have text messages that prove that I think the Bulls should move up to get Bobby Portis. I'm a huge supporter. The guy is good. The only thing that I'm going to be looking forward to when it comes to the rotation is going to be how he's used. I mean, he's essentially by nature, he's a power forward. So is, your Nikos of the world, your Taj Gibsons of the world. So is he? So I mean, you're Joakim Noah is a center. So he goes out. So I'm assuming Taj is going to play with Powell. So then what happens when the second unit comes in? Who are you playing as instead of Bobby Portis is center, letting Taj be the power forward, or they're just leaving him alone at the center position and having Nico as your four and playing a 3-guard or whatever 2-guard setup? It's just going to be interesting to see how he's used. I mean, he's a very agile. If he's used as a 5, he's very agile. He can run the floor, but in most cases, he's kind of undersized and probably as a rookie probably get pushed around by most other 5s in any other team. So I just want to see how he's used. He's going to be a great player nonetheless, and he works hard. He plays hard. He's always aggressive. He's always jumping into the rebound. He'll take the better shots. He's a good shooter. But I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how they're going to use him, especially with all the shuffling of lineups. It'd be very nice to see. So,
that's a good point, and it kind of made me think of something. Now, this is going to be like a really hot take, but hear me out. A lot of times, coach, when a team suffers an injury and they have, there's an injury to a starter and there's an important bench player. So let's say, that's Joakim Noah and then that's Nikola Mirotic. A lot of times, rather than just moving the bench player to the starting lineup, they like to, oh wait, Joakim Noah's, okay, I'm already off the rails. Joakim Noah hasn't been starting. What was I trying to say?
They like to move the backup to the starting.
In the interest of keeping, the point was supposed to be, in the interest of keeping the rotation intact, he just immediately moves Bobby Portis to the starting lineup so that Nico's still coming off the bench. And Taj is coming off the bench as the backup center. Because otherwise you have Powell starting at center, and then you have to go with, and Taj at power forward, and then you have to go with your second unit. You either have to leave one of them in, and they'll be tired and old, or you have to go with Portis and Mirotic at the same time.
Is Taj starting now? Or I thought that was just a couple of game thing.
Well, I'm saying
started? What?
That's just the thing. I mean, it's been up and down. I didn't see who started tonight. I don't know because I didn't.
I think Nico did. Did he?
Yeah, Nico started. It was Nico and Powell.
Well, they might go that way. Taj can play some center. That's probably more likely. I told you it was going to be a hot take.
I mean, geez, talk about giving up defensive potential. Nico and Powell, come on. Yeah.
But Powell's a great defender.
What? Oh, come on. He's not a great defender.
The man gets blocks. Doesn't that mean defense?
He's like
James Harden,
7'2".
right?
He could put his arm up and get a block.
No, I know. He gets the stats, but yeah, I watched those games. And Brook Lopez, he abused Powell tonight. It was
It's like
just
saying James
looked
Harden
like a
is
free throw contest.
If he gets 2 steals a game. No, he's not the best defender in the NBA.
No. Yeah, Powell's bad. Yeah, no, and Nico and Powell have played together before, and it is pretty atrocious. But those buckets, though, it's all about those buckets.
Yeah. You give up a little, you get a little, right? So.
Right.
All right. Well, that's probably going to about do it for the evening, unless anybody has any parting shots, any final trash talk, or any deep stats they want to throw out there.
Has anybody seen Steven Adams' mustache?
Oh man.
Not for a while, but I know
it's a very beastly looking mustache. I'm quite impressed.
Let me see if I can get that.
It was like pedophile-ish for a while. I don't know if beasting is the right word.
He just looks like a man and a half. I would not want to fuck with that guy. It's the mustache. He looks like a man and a half.
My goodness.
No, he looks like a pedophile.
How
I don't
about
know.
that?
Get rid of it.
No,
How do
not
you
that
like
one.
that?
Not that one.
Look
Not
at
that one.
this. I don't want this guy in my apartment.
Wait, hold on. It's not that one. You gotta look at the most recent one. With his long hair. Smokey, pull it up. It's gotta be
I'm
recent.
just looking
very
at
recent.
Google images.
It's just
Oh,
getting
this
worse.
one?
I don't know what you see here.
No.
Is that it?
What the hell?
No.
Oh my.
Kyle Drogo looking mother.
Wow.
That's better there.
No, not that one.
Not that. How many crazy mustache pics can this guy have? He plays
Well,
like
they played
25
today,
minutes.
and I was
Is that a
like,
shirtless pic right there?
I just they played today, and so I was just like, I was looking at his mustache. I was like, damn, that is a beastly looking mustache.
Wow.
I don't know what to tell you. Go look. We'll tell that to everybody. That'll be your homework. Go look. at
I will send a
Yeah,
picture to
please.
somebody.
mustache.
Like a couple caterpillars just like had a house on his lip.
That's special. All right. Makes me look like a dang, teenage boy just getting his first stubble. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up on that lovely note. As always, you can check out our podcast on YouTube or archive.org after the fact, but we do appreciate if you listen live. This has been the Fantasy Basketball Podcast Day Chi-Town, and we will catch you later.